Welcome to the second video on my garage refresh. In this video, I'm going to go over a few painting tips that I found useful when I was painting my garage. The first of which is to make sure you do a decent job on your drywall and smooth out all of the compound so that it's smooth to the hand. If you can feel the transition, you will definitely see it after you paint. So if you're doing your ceiling, you're going to want to start there first. I'm not doing mine because I have too much crap on my ceiling and some patching and some areas I have to fix, and I'm just not doing that right now. If your drywall hasn't been primed or sealed before, you're going to want to do that. And I would recommend using something like this Kills PVA. This stuff worked really well. It's really thick and it covers nicely and it gives you a really good base for your paint. Don't forget to have them shake it up for you at the store when you buy it. When I'm painting a room, I start by cutting in all the edges. And to do that, I use a 3.5-inch angled brush and a 6-inch mini roller. I start out with the brush and go right up next to the corner or edge, and then I'll follow up and spread the paint around with the roller. So I'm trying to get at least 6 inches down from the ceiling or up from the floor. And sometimes, it's even better to get a little bit more. And that way you don't worry about hitting the ceiling or the floor when you're actually rolling on the paint with your bigger roller. To hold the paint, especially when you're going up and down ladders, I like to use these cups. These are nice because they have a little liner that's disposable. Even better yet is a paint bucket. This works kind of like a paint tray when you're up on the ladder. So you can get the paint on your roller and then roll off the excess paint. I've had the same brush for years now. I have a handful of different brushes, but this is the one I use for most of my room painting. And what you can do is, if you notice that the bristles start fraying out, kind of like that, is you can just take scissors or an X-Acto knife and just cut them off. You don't want to be pulling them out. For cleaning my brush and painting supplies, these things, I don't even know what they are, but they're kind of bristly. They work really well. And so I'll clean around here, and then I'll also just wipe off the brush after I've run water over it and use this nylon bristle brush to go through there underneath the running water. So starting with this first, and just keep doing that, flipping it over and doing it again, and then going back over with this. And between these two things, they do a great job getting the paint off of whatever you're trying to get the paint off of, as long as you have running water. To clean off your roller covers, you're gonna wanna use one of these all-in-one tools. And I like to go ahead and do that outside of my garage over the trash can, just like this, to get most of the paint off before I take it to my utility sink. And then I can just rinse this off with water. For getting the bulk of the paint on the walls, you're gonna wanna use a large roller. This is an 18-inch roller pad. You can also use a 14-inch. I would recommend the 18, especially in my garage. The walls are huge, so bigger is better, and it will get the paint on there faster. I stick with Wooster. This is available at Home Depot, or Purdy. These are available at Lowe's. I like both of these products. They work really well. I especially like my little Wooster. This is a 2-foot to 4-foot extension for my rollers, and this thing is nice in that it has a quick connect clip. And then the other nice thing about it is it's the right length where I can get high enough when it's fully extended to hit the top of my ceilings in this garage, which are 10-foot ceilings. But I can also, as I'm painting and I get closer down, I can basically shrink the extension so that it isn't getting in the way, or if I'm in tighter spaces, this works really well, especially when I get close to the ground. It also works on my Purdy roller. It's a little bit different in how it connects. So it still slides in the quick clip, but So it still works just fine. Just not the same way that this one has. It's got like a hex that fits over the hex receptacle on the extension. You really need an extension. This will make your life a lot easier. I didn't bother vacuuming or dusting off the drywall dust before I put the sealing primer down, and the first coat of sealing primer basically sucked up all of the dust into that coat. It's thick enough where it didn't really matter. I'm also not sanding in between coats because, well, it's a garage. I'm using this Bare Premium paint and primer. It worked well. It's a satin. I wasn't really sure about satin or flat in the garage. I did go with the satin just because I figured it'd be easier to clean and it would maybe let the sawdust slide off better than a flat wood. I don't know if that's true or not, it just seemed like that. I really like adding 8 ounces of Floetrol to each gallon of paint. I use these Dixie cups these are 9 ounces, and so one of these to a gallon of paint is about right. And I just find that the Floetrol really helps the paint to lay down without brush or roller marks. It looks a lot better, I think, with the Floetrol. I do use a Sharpie to mark on the can after I've added the Floetrol, otherwise I forget and add it twice. I forget things. To get the paint on the wall as quickly as possible and minimize splatters, I like to push my tray right up against the wall. I keep it on a piece of cardboard and I keep it in the same area that I'm working. So as I move along, I'll scoot the tray further down the wall. I'll load up the roller pad with a bunch of paint and then just get it right on the wall, not worrying too much about spreading it around. So I'll do that 2 or 3 times. And once I have the paint on the wall, I'll spread it out using a V pattern with the roller, just kind of like this, making sure it's all even before I move on to the next section. So for my wooden stairs, all 2 of them, I use this Tough Shield acrylic satin. It's the same paint that I use for my shed floor and it held up really well there. So I like that it is kind of a non-slip surface, but it's super durable. So I also like the way it looks. Well, that'll wrap up this painting video. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found something useful. And stay tuned as I get back to more woodworking projects. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Maybe a like, comment, reasonable comment, and I'll see you in the next video.